Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents. Happy Mother's Day. I'm running for your mayorship here in Abbotsford and commander, but I'm also going in for the city books to forensic audit the city on everything that's been taking place. Was Councillor Mogel said where there was smoke, there was fire, and Henry couldn't sue him. Here's a man that's rich, couldn't go after Mo because Mo knew to prove his innocence, he'd have to testify in court. And everything that Henry did in closed meetings and secret meetings would then get exposed. I ran a video the other day showing you a reward for the Abbotsford incident on a Ford pickup. Me and my family. I'm increasing that reward week after week after week after week, the cash reward. It goes to no officer, no government body, and no indirect or direct to their families. It goes to the general community. That attempt on my life has gone too far by the Abbotsford police. Week after week, allegation after allegation, not charging the bar, giving me the bar, not going after the casino, inflating that they're trying to run me. It's petty little tactics to save the company. The company and the filthy boys are in trouble, and they exposed themselves that this law enforcement office wasn't a police force. It was a bunch of losers taking a free ride. Had special friends in there that they were their buddies. And you can see it by Bob Rich not coming back and cleaning his character, or Mike Sear not coming back and taking pictures with the Abbotsford police, distancing themselves. The attack on my community week after week, day in and day out, has been unbelievable by the Abbotsford shit squad. Unbelievable. These men overrode it by claiming they were investigators and could not come out and do a bloody thing. The task force on me, the task force on Mogel, the week in and week out, the smashing of my camera and proudness today. I got a new camera stand, I got a new camera, and my son bought me a new phone. The allegations of that crap officer that was going to frame me that I was in Abbotsford when I was at the multi-billionaire in White Rock. This garbage Colin Watts climbing in Suk Mangel's office rather than charging his officer for smashing personal property and making false accusations to frame somebody. Couldn't do it. This shithole police department has ran wild in this bloody town month after month after month after month, used its sympathy that they were a police department and carried out heinous, filthy acts. I want to make sure that the RCMP can't get beside them and they can pull themselves out of their mess. These garbage men that led that top of the police department were filthy, what they did. Just absolute filthy. Blocked an election and everything. It was a help of the mission RCMP that opened the doors and led Abbotsford residents in to hear a story that would shape everything. The outcome of Vicky Hope's, Craig Toes blocking me in the election to load for Ross Siemens for Henry, Dave Sidhu at UFV, everything. That possibility of me showing you how they framed that election was because of the RCMP. That is why it was possible. Today I stand on Boundary Road by the US border for my farmers. Ross Siemens has been the mayor, the framed mayor, for quite some time and has done nothing for the farmers. Oh, don't forget, he had the mayor lunching and Henry and Dave Lowens were there. Now, I would have canceled that lunching and I would have given the money to the homeless they kicked out in the middle of the winter behind Walmart and said, no, it's not worth it. Put a meal in their mouth. But Ross was trying to be loaded again. They need him in. This shithole mob has run wild on Abbotsford and we need accountability. Under my mayorship, we're going to go in and get a full forensic audit on the $71 million that was dumped into Barrowtown, and now everybody went quiet, even Brad Viss. Carney knew what was happening from the top of lobbying. Brad Viss was lobbying that infrastructure money to fill Henry's pockets. The former mayor and MLA Bruce Banman never stood on the world stage to lobby for flood money for Henry Brown in the city. He knew it would go to their hands and in their pockets, so he distanced himself from it, and that painted a picture to everybody and our farmers. It wouldn't go in the hands of the farmers. The dismantling of the Dyke Committee with Henry for Mo, I will reinstate that Dix and Dyke Committee and untie your hands and give you the ability and the financial money you need to drain and clean your ditches and put the responsibility back on you so it never happens again. The city of Abbotsford will also work hand in hand with you, helping you build up what you need to build up, raise the bridges that are in the low flats, but dredge them ditches very fast. These families had to suffer and their homes suffered where Henry was loading the Abbotsford Police building to fraud money out for the $81 million in the cost overruns for that dirty police department that he wanted in charge. I'll put a stop to it, and I'll put a stop to it very, very quickly. I'm adamant about bringing the RCMP into Abbotsford so all this stops. I'm removing the Abbotsford police and men and putting them on the welfare line, putting them right down on their hands, and that's what a good politician will do for its community. I'm adamant about forensic auditing and going after what the city councils were doing. These are our U.S. neighbors, and the U.S. neighbors and our farmers work hand in hand, and they're both being strapped unfairly. Every year after year, you see, with the climate change and everything takes place and the massive roads being built, you have more runoffs, and you have less way of the water disappearing and getting out to the Fraser and everything. And if you don't clean the sludge out of there, you raise the sludge level, what raises the water level. George Ferguson used to clean it every year. We're going to clean this. You can see Ross is really panicking. He's starting to pave roads again, and he's paving them around his development sites. It was unfair. It's totally unfair that many farms can have 500 cars on ag land and break the ag and the Minister of Ag's policy for him and his friends, for Henry and his buddies to benefit. And a poor farmer parks a dump truck and he's squeezed by you-know-what, by Magna. That's totally unfair. That's not even a level or fair playing ground. We're going to undo that. It's totally unfair that hundreds of thousands of dollars in rocks were tugged down on Gladys Avenue by the city of Abbotsford, ordered by Ross Siemens to remove the homeless to help Sage, Ron Funk, Henry's partner, increase his sales office and tug them rocks. Them assets should have went into these farmers and these mothers that had mold in their houses. Instead, they were embezzling the money. Then Ross went uptown for $14 million and was going to buy a new building by Rona to scam that to move the city. We're going in, and opening the books will show you where your dollars went from one to one. Bruce Banman was the only mayor that never raised taxes in Abbotsford. I'm going to be the only mayor that lowers taxes in Abbotsford and lowers them very quickly. I'm going to cut costs like there's never been costs cut. I'm going to go through the city's work yards, and the first thing I'm going to do is remove the Abbotsford police and get them off you as a burden. We're going to look at the way you pay water bills, and we're going to go back at it. All the water tugged off of Farmers Road, what comes from Mount Baker out of the aquifer, is being used on construction sites for friends of friends of friends. And we're going into water bans. But the first thing I'm going to do is make it sure to my federal government, Carney, that recognized through Trudeau that Henry was loading himself, that his MPs and then they were in Abbotsford were blocked. We got to build ties back. We got to own that responsibility, and we got to make sure our farmers are not being punished and hampered by the federal government, which I don't blame Carney. I support him not to give a dime in here till the city is removed from handling all the financial things. I'm running for mayor of Abbotsford, but I'm also, at the end of the day, I'm offering a bigger reward now for the man that was up in the back of a legendary golf course that threatened my life. It's too risky now. They could pull me from my car. They're very brave of doing what they're doing week after week. They can inject fentanyl in my hands. And the police, these officers, been doing dirty stuff behind the backs. We're going to increase that thing week after week till we catch that Ford pickup. That man that was driving that Ford pickup that claimed he was an officer. And I want to tell you today's podcast. The Abbotsford Police have not came to my house with its great investigators, its great Safety Standards Act, its concern to the residents that somebody's posing as a police officer. Not one time have they stood up and owned this responsibility, because they're cleaning the back door of this man again, and I'm going to put a stop to these childish games. I'm going to drive the best in here that stuff like this doesn't happen again. I'm going to bring the RCMP. I'm going to work with my farmers, and I'm going to work very hard, and I'm going to work with the U.S., and we're going to work very hard, because there we know there's another flood coming and we might not have the chance of this one devastates you. And we're going to work very hard. We're going to give you them resources that you can drain, dredge, and everything. But we're going to go after a forensic audit and accountability of where the hell that $71 million is. And I have no problem putting Jake's Contracting into court and getting that money back on that job site at Barrowtown Waterworks. And that's what I'll do. And I learned it from the best. I'm live, Abbotsford, British Columbia, Boundary Road, U.S. border.